DR.R.L.POONGUZHALI, PG and Research Department of Economics, A.D.M.COLLEGE, NAGAPATTINAM. Today, my topic on Introduction to Research Methods. Introduction. Research is a scientific investigation. Investigation means a search for new facts and ideas in any branch of knowledge. Thus, we can say that research is a search for knowledge. Research may be considered as a movement from the unknown to the known. It is actually a voyage of discovery. Research is carried out for two purposes. One is the discovery of new facts, and the second, verification of the old ones. The object of every business organization, of course, is the discovery of new fact, new relationship and new laws governing the business phenomena. But constant verification of the old concept is also needed, especially in dynamic business environment. Common sense knowledge based on the accumulated experiences and belief of the people in often. On the other hand, scientific observations are based on variable evidence or systematic body of proof that can be cited. For example, some common sense statements are: man is more intelligent than woman, married men remain happier than single people, rural people are more hardworking than urban people, etc. Contrary to this, the scientific research or scientific inquiry finds that woman is as intelligent as man. There is no association in happiness and marriage. Hard work is not related to environment alone. The statement based on common sense is just a guess of prejudice or mistaken interpretation, though at times it may be true, wise and a useful bit of knowledge, but it is not based on any scientific evidence. A scientific statement is based on accumulated systematic knowledge through research. Meaning and definition of research. In order to plan and carry out research, it is necessary to know what we mean by research in general as well as in the specialized fields of business management. Research is an organized and systematic way of finding answers to questions. Systematic because there is a definite set of procedures and steps which you will follow. There are certain things in the research process that are always done in order to get the most accurate results. Organized in that there is a structure or method in going about doing research. It is a planned procedure, not a spontaneous one. It is focused and limited to a specific scope. Finding answer is the end of all research. Whether it is the answer to a hypothesis or even a simple question, research is successful when we find answers. Sometimes the answer is no, but it is still an answer. Questions are central to research. If there is no question, then the answer is of no use. Research is focused on relevant, useful and important questions. Without a question, research has no focus, drive or purposes. The word research is derived from the Latin word meaning to know. It is a systematic and a replicable process which identify and define problems within specified boundaries. It employs well-designed method to collect the data and analysis the result. It disseminates the findings to contribute to generalizable knowledge. Definitions. Various social and behavioral scientists have defined the word research in different ways. Some of the most popular definitions are: endeavor to discover fact by scientific study, course of critical investigation by Packet Oxford Dictionary, systematic investigation to establish fact or collect information on the subject by Collins Concise Dictionary. Research is systematized effort to gain new knowledge by Redman and Mori. Next one, research is the manipulation of things, concept or symbol for the purpose of generalizing to extend, correct or verify knowledge, whether that knowledge aids in construction of theory or in the practice of an art, by encyclopedia or social sciences. Thus, we can say that research is a systematic and objective attempt to study a business problem for the purpose of deriving general principle. In other words, research is a systematic, controlled, empirical and critical investigation of hypothetical proposition about the presumed relations among phenomena. Characteristics of research. A well-organized research must possess certain characteristics, features which are as follows. Solution-oriented. The problem of research must be clearly defined and stated. The motive of research must be mentioned in the beginning of research work. Next, the research should provide a solution of a business problem. Second one, logical. In a research, we find out fact about a phenomenon and draw conclusions about it. The inferences and generalization thus made must be logical. For example, illiterate people in the village live longer than the educated people in the cities leads to conclusion that literacy is the cause of longevity. This is an example of illogical research conclusion. Objective. Observing true picture of a phenomenon without being affected by observer's own opinion is termed as subjective. Objectivity means knowing reality. The criterion of objectivity is that all researchers should arrive at the same conclusion about the phenomenon on which they are pursuing research. The impartiality. A dishonest research may select data items of individuals to draw conclusion to his favor. This brings bias into research which affects the objective of the study. Therefore, a true research must be impartial and unbiased. Fifth one is accuracy. A research worker needs to gain some exercise in the study he is undertaking. This expertise results in achieving the accuracy in the solution drawn. The accuracy of conclusion is a sensitive issue as it may affect the whole decision making. Sixth one, systematic. In a research, there should be well-defined step. Each step should be sequentially linked with another so that the whole research work is an organized structure. Seventh one, verifiability. The result of a research are subjective to verifications for building a sound bias for decision making. One verifies the research result by replicating the study. Eighth one is empirical. A research is an empirical process and involve data collection. The results are based on observed experiences or empirical evidences. Research rejects assumption and dogma as methods of established knowledge. It accepts only what is verified by empirical observations. Next one, role and significance of research. A research study plays a very vital role in studying, understanding and solving a business problem. Research is a process of obtaining dependable solution through systematic and scientific investigation. In the modern business environment where operational problems are of complex nature, research provides a solution-oriented, carefully designed procedures. Research helps us to discover the functional relationships. Then, among various phenomena that exist in a business or a government, organization, decision making under uncertainty is a fact in every sphere of a business. Research provides us inferences and generalization that help in forecasting the future happenings in the organization. All private or government organizations form their policies on the basis of researches conducted. Objective researchers. The main goal research is to improve the quality and level of living in the society. The purpose of a research study is to find out the hidden fact about a business phenomenon. The obvious function of research is to add new knowledge to the existing store. It serves the government and the business organizing in forming their future policies. The objectives of a research study are listed below. Understanding a business problem, the first and foremost objective of any study is to understand, analyze and explore a business problem. Once complete familiarity with the phenomenon is achieved, it is easier to decompose the complex problem into smaller ones. Second thing, identifying the cause and effect relationship. Individuals from groups and groups from organization, they are interdependent. It is very important for a researcher to identify the functional relationships among various components of an organization. A scientific investigation is necessary in studying the cause and effect relationship of variables involved in a business phenomenon. Third one is to innovate new ideas. One of the objectives of a researcher is to bring constant improvement in the technique of his trade. Apart from verifying and testifying the existing assumption, one of the functions of a research is to add new knowledge to the state of the art. Research invokes the innovation of new concepts, theories and ideas in a business study. Apart from this, research also removes and discards worthless theories that are prevalent in the society to improve the quality. The whole exercise of an activity is done for the improvement of quality of a product, machinery or life of human beings. For a business organization, it is utmost important to improve the quality of its products. This can be achieved by a systematic and critical investigation, that is research. Next one, types of research. Research is a multi-dimensional activity. It comes in various forms and it is used in all social, behavioral, educational, economical and management sciences. According to the approach and method involved in a research, one can classify the following types of research. First one is descriptive versus analytical research. Descriptive research basically describe what is. It mainly involves collection, recording, describing and analyzing the fact related to the study. It tries to find the existing status, trend and state of affairs in a phenomenon. Descriptive research involves surveys, but they are not merely data collection, as they also involve measurement, classification, analysis, comparison and interpretation. In this type of research, the variable under study are uncontrollable. One can only observe and report what is happening in a situation. Analytical research, on the other hand, deals with what will be. In this type of research, the variables involved are carefully and scientifically controlled and manipulated. Analytical research is also known as experimental research and is a very sophisticated technique. This kind of research is based on four important characteristics, namely control, manipulation, observation and replication. Second one, applied versus fundamental research. Applied research is action oriented or solution oriented. The main goal of an applied research is to obtain an immediate, specific and practical solution of a problem that a business organization is facing right now. It gives here and now solution in actual problem situation. It involves scientific investigation, but the methods are not rigorous as in fundamental research. It finds solution to be applied in local environmental and they may not be universally acceptable. Applied research does not promise to add new knowledge to this discipline. Fundamental research is carried out to scientifically enhance the organized body of knowledge of a discipline. Also known as basic research, it is concerned with the formulation of theory and generalization of principle to evaluate and expand a formulated theory. It may use empirical data. Basic research involves systematic, highly sophisticated scientific techniques Fundamental research may not suggest the solutions of immediate problems, it rather draws long-term conclusions. Third one is quantitative versus qualitative research. Quantitative research is based on quantitative variables which can be measured in appropriate units. These involve objects and individuals that vary in size, quantity, amount, scale or degree. For example, prices of commodity can be measured in rupees. Weight of a product is measured in kilograms and the mileage of vehicles is measured in kilometers per liter. Qualitative research, on the other hand, it is based on qualitative variables which vary is quality of type. This variable cannot be measured on a scale or in any units. Social scientists use qualitative research for studying human behavior. In market research surveys, qualitative research is carried out to investigate the likes and dislikes of customers. It helps in understanding the current pattern of demand of a company's products. Fourth one is conceptual versus empirical research. Conceptual research involves the development of new theories, abstract ideas and generalized principles. Philosophers, intellectuals and thinkers carry out this kind of research. On the basis of the conceptual knowledge, they build theoretical models. Conceptual research is an intellectual process to develop and verify knowledge. And empirical research is based on observation and experimentation. The information collected in the form of fact develop the conclusions and theories about a phenomenon. The models so developed can again be verified by a replication of data collection. To test a given hypothesis, empirical research is the most popular and powerful tool in the modern world. Fifth one is other types of research. Any research study is derivation of one or the other of above four types of research. One can further classify a research on the basis of its purposes, time taken and the discipline of knowledge it relates to. For example, historical research is the study of past events, historical documents, remains and relics. Clinical research is employed to study the effects of a new drug. Market research is performed to forecast the potential demand of a product. One-time research is carried out on a small scale in short period with a specific purposes. Educational research is directed towards the study and development of educational system. Social research is concerned with the social problem of the society. Field research is done by going out in the field or market, whereas laboratory research is carried out within four walls of a laboratory. Research process. Research is a search for knowledge. It helps in taking appropriate decision. Research involves asking a question and then trying to find an answer to it. Research is essentially a systematic, scientific and structured inquiry-seeking fact through objective methods. Therefore, a research must have a clearly defined step-by-step process. A knowledge of the research process is essential both for those who conduct the research and for those who wish to be benefited by the conclusion drawn from the research. A meaningful knowledge should have a definite purpose and direction. In developing a research process, one would like to list the sequences of step-by-step activities. In a research process, these steps are interdependent and may overlap each other. They may not follow a strict sequence and the researcher has to be vigilant of their order continuously throughout the research process. However, one can broadly enlist the main step involved in a research process as a procedure guidelines to the researcher. These steps are problem formulation, literature survey, Development of hypothesis, research design, choice of sample design, data collection, analysis and interpretation of data, hypothesis testing, interpretation of results, and report writing. The above procedure can be depicted in a diagrammatic from shown in the flow chart in a brief description of the above steps is given below. Problem of formulation. It is the first and foremost step in a research process. It is not always easy to identify and define. A problem is an ever-changing business environment. A researcher not only discovers and defines a problem area but also a specific problem within that area concerning his interest in business. The problem should be clearly and precisely stated. The statement of the problem must be complete. The problem is a business may sometimes be obvious and one can pinpoint them. Many a problem is not so apparent and needs exploration. Thus, first of all, one has to identify a problem specifically and thoroughly, and then it has to be expressed in scientific terms so that statistical analysis can be performed on that problem. Second one, literature survey. After the formulation and identification of a problem, the next important steps in the review of literature survey. An extensive and critical review of professional literature familiarizes the researcher with the current state of knowledge. It helps in understanding of the problem and the hypothesis that others have studied. It clarifies the concept, theories, major variables involved, operational definitions and research method used in the past. This contributes to the cumulative nature of scientific knowledge. Every year, thousands of articles, books and monographs and published in any field of study. Therefore, it is important to shortcut to the relevant literature connected with the field of one interest. It is best to begin and search for literature with one of the guides to published literature. These guides are increasingly computerized and include bibliographic indexes and abstract. With the advent of internet, the modern life has changed drastically. One can find an ocean of information within the four walls of one study room through internet. Some of the popular search engines like Google, Yahoo and ready for becoming more popular in searching for literature on any topic. Development of hypothesis. Once a problem is defined and a review of literature is made, the next step is to define clearly the hypothesis is a research problem. A hypothesis is a tentative assumption in a research problem which has to be tested empirically with the help of observed data. When formulating a hypothesis, a researcher does not know whether it will be rejected or accepted. A hypothesis is constructed and tested. If it is rejected, another one is formulated. If it is accepted, it is incorporated in the scientific body of knowledge. One should arrive at a clear and specific working hypothesis for which research method already exists. A good hypothesis states a research problem in concise and precise terms so that the researcher is focused on the problem at hand. Fourth one is research design. A research design is a well-defined plan of action. It is a planned sequence of the entire research process. It is a blueprint of research activity. In a big business scenario, designing a research study is very complex. Therefore, a research design may change during the operation of a project. A good research design must be minimum of resources like time, money and manpower. A research design must be able to translate the general scientific model into a practical research operation. A scientifically developed research design possesses the characteristics like objectivity, reliability, validity and generalization. A fifth one is choice of sample design. In any investigation, the group of all items Objects are individuals and the study is called population or universe. For all purposes of determining population characteristics, instead of enumerating entire population, some items of the population called a sample are observed. Then the sample characteristics are utilized to approximately determine or estimate the population. For example, on examining the sample of a particular product, we arrive at a decision of purchasing or rejecting that product. There will be surely some error in such an approximation and is inherent and unavoidable in any and every sampling scheme. But samples results in considerable gains in terms of time, money, accuracy and efforts. Drawing a sample of some predetermined size from an entire population is not a child play. This have to be a systematic plan to choose the sample items. This plan or a technique of drawing a sample is known as sample design or sample plan or sampling technique. Researchers have suggested various sample design. One research situation may be different from another. There are simple random sample though most popular may not be suitable in each case. Depending on the requirement of a situation, one can choose one of the following sample designs: purposive or judgment sampling, simple random sampling, stratified random sampling, systematic sampling, cluster sampling, area sampling, multi-stage sampling, multi-pass sampling. Last one is data collection. Once a sample design is formulated, the next step in a research process is the collection of relevant data. There can be two sources of data: internal data that refers to the happenings and functions of a business organization. For example, the sale purchases details of a company. Second one, external data, which is related to outside sources and external agencies. There are two types of data, and primary data one and second one, secondary data. Primary data are those observations which are collected by an investigator for the first time. Secondary data are already available in the records and have been collected by some other researchers for the purposes of studying a similar problem. Methods of collecting primary data are by direct observation and experimentation, by direct personal interview, by direct interviews through phone, SMS and email, by indirect personal interview, by mailed, emailed questionnaire, by schedules through enumerators. The methods of collecting secondary data. International organizations like government publications like Economic Survey, CSO, NSSO, journal and newspapers, research articles, reports of business organization and financial institution. A method and source of data collection is chosen by an investigator taking into account by objectives and requirements of the inquiry. The adopted method should incur minimum cost and time should have a reasonable level of accuracy and unbiasedness. Analysis and interpretation of data. After the collection of data, what we have in a huge chunk of observation and numerical values, the data at the beginning are in a raw form. For the purpose of applying further statistical techniques, one has to put the raw data in a useful form by classification, tabulation and categorization of data. If one has to feed the data in a computer, the data should be via the same form as required by the software used. This kind of processing of data involve one or more of the following activities: coding, labeling, editing, tabulation and classification, and hypothesis testing. After analyzing and processing of data, it is time now to test the hypothesis that were formatted in steps 3 of research process. A hypothesis is skeptically formulated regarding the relationship between phenomenon and variables involved in a study. Then by empirical investigation The hypothesis is tested for possible acceptance or rejection. In other words, the researcher decides on the basis of the observed fact that he has collected whether or not an assumption is valid. A hypothesis is tested by making use of a predefined decision rules established in statistical methods. Thank you.